Amber, I know you've been knee deep in this news conference that's been going on here for about the last hour or so. So you have to bring us up to speed on this story that has just been wild. The kayaker that was missing, but then turned out faked his own death. So what do we know now?
Yeah, so let's just get into this here. Within the last hour, the Green Lake County Sheriff, that's in like Fox Valley area in Wisconsin, like we've been talking about, just gave an update on this case. And I mean, seriously, bombshell. Turns out they've been in almost constant contact with Ryan Borgwart, the man, like you mentioned, that faked his own death in August. He had pretended to drown in Green Lake. He did not drown. He is alive and well and somewhere in Eastern Europe, and they're not exactly sure where, but we have a video just now from Ryan himself that he sent to the sheriff's office. The audio does suck. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm hoping to get a raw version of this later, but this is what we've got for now. Listen closely.
Good evening. It's Ryan Borgwart. Today, hello, and today is November 11th. It's approximately 10 a.m. by you guys. I'm in my apartment. I am safe, secure.
So if you could kind of hear that a little bit, he said, I'm safe and secure, and I hope this works. So the sheriff's office had clearly been asking him for, you know, proof of life, like prove that it's you, prove that you're, you know, actually alive and okay. But like I mentioned to Amy, we've learned today that they were having daily communications with Ryan. It sounds like what I'm gleaning from the press conference this morning, they were able to get in contact with him with the help of a Russian woman. You may remember that the investigators learned he had been in contact with a woman in Uzbekistan before his disappearance. It's not clear right now if the woman in Uzbekistan and the woman that helped police connect with him after his disappearance are the same person. But we might learn a little bit more about that with some follow-up questions with the sheriff. I had to dip out of that press conference, so maybe somebody asked about it. I'll go back and listen to that a little bit more later. Something else we learned today, we learned exactly how Ryan pulled this off. I mean, we've talked a lot about this. I know the area well. It's my hometown area. It's a very popular lake. My biggest question was, how the heck did he do this? I mean, there are people out there all the time, especially in August. So like I said, he'd been talking to the deputy, and he shared with the deputy how he did it, and the sheriff himself today relayed that play-by-play. So Leo, if we could roll this soundbite.
He stashed an e-bike near the boat launch. He paddled his kayak in a child-sized floating boat out into the lake. He overturned the kayak and dumped his phone in the lake. He paddled the inflatable boat to shore and got on his e-bike and rode through the night to Madison. In Madison, he boarded a bus and went to Detroit and then the Canadian border. He continued on the bus to an airport and got on a plane. We are continuing to verify this information, trying to put the dots together. But we feel that this was Ryan's way that he could tell the entire country how he did it.
I mean, it's crazy. What do you think of that?
Amber, do you remember? And sorry if you said this already. Why did he do this?
They asked the sheriff that today, if they've gleaned any sense of motive here, and they really haven't. I don't know. It's really confusing. We don't know why. Ryan was telling the deputy that he feels bad, quote unquote, for his family. He left behind a wife and 3 kids, and they're all like.
What I was getting at is, you know, clearly there must have been something there, but
okay. It's really not clear right now exactly what his motive was. Something else that I know we had been talking about, he had taken out a fairly decent sized life insurance policy earlier in the year. The sheriff said today that was not for Ryan himself, he took it out, and that money was for his family, his wife and 3 kids. So he didn't necessarily take all that money and run, but you'll remember the sheriff did also say in earlier press conferences that Ryan had moved sums of money from his accounts here to different international bank accounts.
Yeah. I think what's frustrating for a lot of people too is the amount of resources that have been put into trying to piece all of this together, when I'm sure people in that community especially feel like there are things that they, that are important to them that that they're missing out on now because of all these resources. So I'm guessing he'll be probably, if he isn't already charged with
so interesting crimes. You mentioned that because apparently Ryan had told the deputy that he didn't expect police would search for him any more than 2 weeks. He thought they would look for him in the lake for 2 weeks and then be like, well, we give up. We might have mentioned this previously, but Green Lake is the deepest lake in Wisconsin. And so Ryan has told the police department that that is why he picked Green Lake. He thought that they would just give up after a little bit and let it be. And the sheriff was like, you picked the wrong department, sir. But he has, because of this, he has been charged in Green Lake County with obstruction of justice for faking his own death. County's also seeking restitution payments around like $40,000. Because like you said, I mean, tons and tons and tons of resources have been put into finding him, all for it to just be a big scheme.
His poor family, family. Okay, well, thank you for keeping track of that. I know that just kind of wrapped up here a little bit ago, so we'll have much more on it coming up on our newscasts a little bit later, and then on our website as well if you want to keep following that. I'm sure we'll post that, that news conference as well.